consent for the Lumen Corporation
to sever my memories between my work life
and my personal life.
I am aware that this alteration is comprehensive and irreversible.
The wait is almost over. Severance, Apple TV's captivating workplace thriller, returns for its second season on January 17th, 2025. Now, I've just rewatched season 1 in anticipation of the next, and my reaction after finishing the 9 episodes was the exact same as when I watched it for the first time.
Someone cooked here.
I'm going to be honest, it got me damn excited for the long-awaited continuation of this story. Here are 4 reasons why you should be too. So let's quickly refresh the memories of those of you familiar with the severed floor of Lumen Industries, and for you lucky newbies, let me introduce you to this show's unique premise. Severance imagines a world where a controversial procedure exists. It involves surgically separating or severing one's memories between their work life and personal life. Lumen Industries, a biotech megacorporation shrouded in secrecy, pioneered this procedure in the name of reimagining work-life balance. Certain employees of Lumen who opt to be severed essentially become 2 different people. Their inner self exists solely within the confines of the workplace, with no memory of the outside world, whilst their outie has no recollection of their work life. Access to their memories becomes spatially dictated. When Dan Erickson, the writer and creator of the show, approached Ben Stiller and his production company with the pilot, I can just picture what Stiller must have thought.
You know how long I've been waiting for this? Woo, I'm about to make a name for myself here.
The underlying concept is genius, instantly intriguing, and with so much dystopian potential. Imagine waking up with no memory of your friends, family, or even your own name, only to discover you elected to undergo a procedure which has fractured your identity into 2. One condemned to work, and another free to live, and you've pulled the short straw. Except it wasn't you who made that decision, because you only came into existence as a result of it. As a philosophy grad and a sci-fi nut, after a few episodes I was thinking,
Damn, Jimmy, this some serious gourmet shit.
Severance's premise establishes a foundation for exploring some fascinating ideas. The ethical implications of controversial technology, the psychological impact of a fragmented existence, and the lengths to which a corporation might go to control its workforce. Having established its premise in season 1, Severance is now poised to delve deeper into the psychological and moral implications of the severed experience in the next season, as the characters grapple with the consequences of their choices and the nature of their reality. Ben Stiller has the gravity to attract the big names and directorial nous to pick out the promising newcomers, which has led to a seriously impressive and well-balanced cast for Severance. Adam Scott was immediately thought of for the role of the protagonist Mark Scout, or Mark S as he's known at Lumen, and I don't think there's a better choice. Adam Scott's comedic talent, honed in shows like Parks and Rec, infuses Mark S with a unique blend of humour and depth. His experience navigating workplace absurdities brings a lightness to Severance's darker themes, while his dramatic range really shines through in the more intense moments. He's the perfect lead for this groundbreaking thriller. Then we have the heavyweights, the big hitters. Patricia Arquette as Miss Cobell, John Turturro as Irving, and Christopher Walken as Bert G. 3 legendary actors who would elevate any show they're in, and they bring a characteristic thematic maturity to their performances. Then the relative newbies. Zach Cherry's Dylan G, a wisecracking pragmatist, effortlessly provides comic relief with his sardonic wit. Trammell Tillman's Mr. Milchuck, Lumen's insidious middle management, is chilling as the ever-present supervisor. But it's Britt Lauer, who plays the newest severed employee Helly R, who steals the show. She's just excellent in portraying her character's escalating desperation and resistance. Given the thought-provoking nature of the show, sometimes the acting just doesn't get its rightful plaudits. The balance within the cast of Severance helps create the captivating dynamics we see between the characters, which will only develop in the next season. Right, before I continue, spoilers ahead. If you haven't watched season 1 already, then what are you doing? What are you doing with your life? Go watch it now and then come back and finish this video. You scoundrel. A lot of shows take a promising premise and end up getting lost. Like, really lost.
We have to go back, Kate.
They get bogged down in supernatural or scientific theories and forget that to keep people genuinely interested, you need to explore something important, on a human level. Severance, even though it's only had one season, doesn't have that problem. A key and important theme stayed with me after my second viewing of the show. Faith and ideology, explored in different ways, but primarily through the lens of Lumen's corporate culture. The culture of Lumen strongly mirrors a religion, with its own rituals, beliefs, and hierarchical structure. Lumen's mysterious founder, Keir Egan, is lauded as a prophet, with employees citing his teachings from the employee handbook as gospel. This is particularly the case with Irving, a self-proclaimed devoted servant of Keir, who has an unquestioning faith in Lumen's mission statement. The Perpetuity Wing in Lumen's severed floor, filled with artifacts and stories of the company's founders, serves as a shrine, reinforcing this cult-like devotion which is expected of its employees. As well as the more traditional, quasi-religious aspect of Lumen's corporate culture, stemming from its founder Keir Egan, we also have the enigmatic entity currently presiding over Lumen's corporate hierarchy, the board. Represented as an intercom speaker, it communicates through an intermediary, who summarizes its already short responses. The board is the faceless authority, getting involved in only the most serious disruptions to business. Lumen's management and employees alike are to obey orders with blind faith and unwavering loyalty. Keir and the board are the godlike figures in the Lumen religion, one exerting power through ideological influence and the other through hierarchical authority. Lumen's management, Miss Cabell and namely Mr. Milchuk, exert their corporate authority in a more insidious way. They try to foster this false family dynamic within the teams on Lumen's severed floor. In MDR, we see forced camaraderie through team building activities like the music dance experience, and Miss Cabell feigning care by offering wellness sessions. Praise and perks for good behaviour while simultaneously gaslighting and punishing those who question the status quo in the break room. For Lumen's management, they don't have the religious prowess of Keir Egan or unquestioned authority of the board, so the most effective form of control is through manipulation and coercion. Despite the best efforts of Cabell and Milchuk, we see MDR begin to rebel. Mark's growing curiosity about his outie, Helly's desperate attempts to escape the severed floor, Irving's trips to O&D all highlight the desire for self-determination and wholeness. The catalyst for a full revolt comes in the form of a contraband self-help book, The You Are. Authored by Mark's brother-in-law Rickon, a well-meaning but deluded wannabe guru, the book is read in secret by the Lumen innies who know nothing of the writer. Despite the amusingly bad writing, they become galvanized by this rebellious ideology from the outside world. The audience can see that Rickon's self-help teachings are ridiculous, but for our characters, it offers a glimpse into the world beyond the rigid and controlled environment of the severed floor. By being introduced to another way of thinking, even if that ideology is flawed, their repressed desires for autonomy are brought to the surface. Despite their severed state, the desire to reclaim their identities and be whole again becomes overwhelming. This notion of corporations enforcing employee obedience via the imposition of a type of ideology, or even religious faith, is not only extremely interesting, but pretty relevant. I've just scratched the surface of the themes explored in Season 1, and I bet there's a lot more to say in the next instalment. Perhaps the biggest reason you should be excited for Severance Season 2 is because fundamentally, the show is a mystery, an enticing puzzle for both the characters and the viewers to solve. And by the end of the first season, we're nowhere near putting the pieces together, left on the edge of our seats with one hell of a cliffhanger in the final episode. Now, 3 years on the edge of your seat, with a mountain of unanswered questions, has led to a pretty unsurprising outcome. A lot, and I mean a lot, of fan theories. There's a pretty deep YouTube rabbit hole on Severance, which I've had a forage down myself, and I've come across some intriguing and wild theories. I won't even try and cover them all now, but I do want to talk about some of the unanswered questions I think are at the heart of this show's mystery. The first and maybe most burning question: what is the true nature of the work done in macro data refinement? The nature of the macro data they handle and how it fits into Lumen's larger operations is likely to be crucial to the story of the second season. So here's what we know. MDR employees stare at numbers on their computer screens and are instructed to put those numbers in digital bins based on their feelings about them. Some numbers make you happy, others are scary. There's a strict time frame for completing their work, but its purpose? A deliberate mystery. Dylan G and Irving have their own theories, and the audience also have theirs. Some believe that through refining the data, MDR are coding improvements into the programming of their own Severance chips. Others believe MDR's work has no real significance. Their department is a type of social experiment where the choices and behaviours are being studied, hence the constant surveillance. Both are sensible, but I think the key lies in the fact that the numbers elicit an emotional response, and there's a compelling theory with this at its forefront. The Four Tempers theory suggests that MDR's numbers are directly connected to the fundamental emotional components of human character, according to Keir Egan.
Woe, frolic, dread, malice.
The 4 employees in MDR are tasked with identifying and categorizing these tempers with encoded numerical data. How the emotions are coded remains another mystery. I find this convincing for 2 reasons. The first being because of small clues. The progress bar categories we see on Mark and Helly's computer screens when refining have abbreviations which directly correspond to the 4 tempers. Dylan G's disturbing waffle party orgy involves erotic masked dancers who also represent Egan's 4 tempers. The repeated and subtle references most likely point to a larger significance. But the compelling aspect of this theory lies in its implications. If these numbers trigger specific feelings, Lumen could systematically identify and potentially control these triggers. While individual responses differ, sufficient data could allow Lumen to understand and manipulate human reactions. The isolation of severed workers provides an ideal environment for this research, as external factors wouldn't influence their emotional responses. This suggests that the macro data's sole purpose is to elicit feelings, with Lumen analysing the resulting emotional data for potential manipulation and control. Alternatively, the data itself could be significant, representing large sets of Severance chips which MDR are refining en masse through taming the 4 tempers just as Keir intended.
Should you tame the tempers as I did mine, then the world shall become but your appendage.
Is Lumen's goal to decode human emotions, advance Severance technology, or something with a more sinister connection to real-world events? Answers to these questions will shape Season 2. Share your theories below in the comments. This leads us to a larger, more overarching question. What is Lumen ultimately working towards? What's their larger plan for the Severance procedure? Inside Lumen, the other department we have exposure to besides MDR is Optics and Design, headed by Bert G., whose romance with Irving is one of the most affecting parts of the show. They are similarly in the dark with regards to the purpose of their work. Lumen seems desperate to keep the various departments separate, and how many there are a mystery, even creating biblical stories of violent coups to fearmonger and divide. Then we had the baby goats. The internet went wild for the baby goats, but I'll direct you to Reddit for some more theories on that. Most disturbingly, we have Miss Casey, Lumen's wellness counsellor, who is dramatically revealed to be Mark's late wife Gemma, supposedly dead from a car accident years before. The nature of the testing floor, where it seems like she's constantly kept, confirms a new level of darkness to Lumen's corporate exploits.
Look, I found a department, one they don't tell us about, one where you don't get to leave.
Has Gemma been brought back from the dead? Her consciousness transferred to another body? The Severance procedure might just be the tip of the iceberg when it comes to the sinister human experimentation occurring at Lumen. Outside Lumen, we see the influence of Severance on the rest of society. Other companies adopting the controversial procedure, a political figure with a severed wife, and general moral outrage from a large percentage of the population. And of course we have Petey, the previous department head of MDR, who makes contact with Mark S.'s outie to warn him about Lumen and the potential for reintegration. We only briefly get introduced to his accomplice Ragabi, an ex-Lumen surgeon who reversed Petey's severance, but I suspect her and her fellow anti-Lumen comrades will have a large role to play in the second instalment of this story. So many unanswered questions, so much to look forward to. Season 1 introduced us to the fractured lives of Lumen's employees and the company's enigmatic nature. The reveal of Helly R as a member of the Egan family suggests that Season 2 will uncover Lumen's darker intentions for society at large. So there you go. If you're now not excited about Severance Season 2, then I don't know what to tell you. You're a lost cause. Because even if there is a small chance that the show gets lost, or the mystery ends up disappointing, well, my bet is it'll be like we never left.